So I keep getting asked about whether I offer GCSE biology resources, so I thought I would make you some to help with you if you're in year 11 about to do your mock. So this is a bit of paper 1 prep. So the first thing that we need to understand is our cell membrane was acting as a barrier, allowing certain substances in and out. Now, it's important we note that the barrier separates extracellular fluid with cytoplasm. So, whenever you are asked about the transport of molecules, it's important you know there are three transport systems that you need to know. So, the first thing we have to think about is the fact that I have two different molecules in my diagram. I have oxygen molecules and I have carbon dioxide molecules. And if they're giving you a question, you need to count the number which are on either side. So we're going to start with oxygen. And I can clearly see that I have 10 oxygen molecules in my extracellular fluid and only 3 in my cytoplasm. Therefore, oxygen is going to diffuse from where there's more of it to where there's less of it. Now, if I look at my carbon dioxide, I have 9 carbon dioxide molecules in the cytoplasm and only 3 in the extracellular fluid. Therefore, carbon dioxide will diffuse from where there's more of it, a higher concentration, to where there's less of it, a lower concentration. That is simple diffusion, the spreading out of particles resulting in a net movement from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. Count the number of molecules and see where there's more to where there's less. But if they're asking you to write a definition, you need to state it's the higher concentration to the lower concentration. Another way to phrase this is that you say that the molecules are moving down their concentration gradient. It's the same answer, it's just a different way to write it. So you don't have to say down the concentration gradient. You can say from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. And if you really want to ensure you get the answer right, then you're not sure about that use of concentration, say from where there's more of the carbon dioxide to where there's less of the carbon dioxide. Describe. So when you're giving an answer, use description to help you. So the next thing we need to talk about is how molecules move when we're talking about water. So water has a very specific way in which it is transported, and that's because water is going to move down its concentration gradient again. So the water molecules we need to count. In this case, if we were told there's 76% water compared to salt in the outside and 41% salt and 59% water inside, where is the water going to go? The water is going to move down its concentration gradient. So this is a form of osmosis. So osmosis is diffusion, but specifically of water. Now, the definition that you need to use in your exam is that diffusion of water is from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution through a partially permeable membrane. Well, let's break that down. It's diffusion of water from dilute, where there's lots of water, to a concentrated solution where there's not so much water. So diffusion of water from a dilute solution, lots of water, to a concentrated solution, not a lot of water, through a partially permeable membrane. So what that basically means, as you can see in my diagram, there are what's called pores, little holes that the water can move through the membrane, and that's what makes it partially permeable. It's only going to let small enough molecules, i.e. water, through. It is permeable to some molecules. It is permeable to water. So osmosis is this net movement of water from a dilute solution to a concentrated solution through that partially permeable membrane. And the third one you need to know about is active transport. So active transport, this is where we're going to go this time against the concentration gradient. So we're not going from where there's a higher concentration to where there's a lower concentration. This time we're flipping it. We're going from a low concentration to a higher concentration. Therefore, energy is required, and that energy comes from respiration. So it's important to note when you're going against the concentration gradient, we're talking about from a more dilute solution to a more concentrated solution. So it's from a lower solute concentration to a higher solute concentration. So in this case, when we go back and look at this, it's important to talk about, for example, the sodium, which is my Na+, or the potassium, which is my K+. Where was there less potassium? Where was there more potassium? Therefore, it went from less to more. Same with the sodium, less to more.